Hi, this is a video tour of Writing Tricks Plus. First, this book is not just a bunch of worksheets. This book is going to show you a system that is going to help your students write strong, powerful sentences. This book came about because when I first started teaching, I got tired of teaching all these writing skills only to have my students not use them within their actual writing. It really just wasn't working. So one day I got this idea on their next writing assignment. I made a list of all the writing tricks that we had learned that year, and I put them on a piece of tag board, put it up in the front of the room. Things like dialogue, words and phrases in a series, similes, metaphors, and I required that they use every single one of them within their writing. Sometimes they had to go back to the revise and edit process to do it, but they did it, and the results were fantastic. And I realized, wait a second, I'm onto something here. So I started coming up with other ways to get the students to put the writing skills I was teaching into their writing right away. And I ended up coming up with this system that was really powerful. And before long, other teachers were getting a hold of the worksheets I was making and were coming in and asking me to show them what I was doing because they were seeing the results that were happening for my students. So I started coming up with other ways to get the students to start putting the tricks I was teaching into their writing. And I ended up coming up with this system where you could teach dozens of writing tricks within the year, and the students start using them in their bigger writing assignments right away. And that system ended up becoming chapter 5 of the complete writing program. And I expanded that. And that's what became Writing Tricks Plus. And it's just really a powerful way to supercharge your students' ability to write stronger sentences. So Writing Tricks Plus is going to do 3 things. 1, it's going to help you improve your students' writing skills. 2, it's going to help your students apply grammar, punctuation, and even poetry skills within their writing. Finally, it's even going to give you a powerful way to improve your state test scores, since every state has a standard about using a variety of sentence structures. Every worksheet in Writing Tricks Plus is designed to teach your students to internalize grammar, punctuation, and figurative language skills so they know them so well that these tricks just flow out of them naturally and they're not just doing it because it's part of an assignment. So here's how it works. Each writing trick has several worksheets, and the process for each worksheet is simple. You'll teach the writing trick from the worksheets. Your students will start using the trick in small journal assignments where it's safe to make mistakes. And finally, the book will show you how to require that your students begin using the trick right away within the context of their actual writing assignments. And there's even a rubric you can give the students to have them check for the writing tricks within the writing assignments, and the students end up peer tutoring and modeling for each other. It's really powerful. So let's show you an example. Here's a worksheet on dialogue. Here, the students are going to learn 3 different ways to punctuate dialogue, then put dialogue into their writing. First, the students are going to learn that when the dialogue is in the front, they use an opening quotation mark, capitalize the first word, put a comma where the period would normally go, add a closing quotation mark, then announce who the speaker is. And by the way, if you're using the free worksheet when you sign up for our newsletter, Better Words for Said, the students learn to use better vocabulary words instead of just using said, which really turns this from a 3rd grader sentence into an actual adult type sentence. So it becomes, it's time to rake the leaves, reminded Dad. And that makes the dad sound nice. Or if you want to make the dad sound more authoritative, you can say it's time to rake the leaves, instructed Dad. And depending on which said word you use, you show the students that you're actually creating a tone within the writing. So after the students learn to put the dialogue in the front of the sentence, then they'll learn how to punctuate it in the back of the sentence. So it'll sound something like, Dad reminded, it's time to rake the leaves. Here, they put the comma to separate the quote from who said it, capitalize the first word of the sentence, just like they always do for any sentence, and remember to put the period inside the closing quotation mark. And to help reinforce all this punctuation, I even have them circle these details on their worksheets because they will confuse punctuation for the two ways to use dialogue. And they'll confuse it for a while, so annotating really helps. Finally, for the advanced students or the older students, they're shown how to divide the quote. For example, they might put, "When you finish your lunch, instructed Dad, it's time to rake the leaves." And you can, while they annotate, point out key details such as capitalizing the first word after the opening quote, putting the comma inside the closing quote, add the said word, add another comma to separate the quote from who said it. No capitalization when you pick the dialogue back up unless you're splitting the quote between two sentences. Finally, they put the final punctuation inside the closing quotation mark, like the period or a question mark or whatever they're using. You're going to do this routine for every writing trick. After every 4 worksheets, there will be a project, and you can see here that they're going to practice the 4 writing tricks in the unit within the context of actual writing situations. The first activity is reviewing each trick as a journal activity, and they check them off after completing each one. Next, they'll trade their journals with a neighbor and check each other's work for accuracy. It's a great way to reinforce each skill and gives the students lots of examples for using each trick. And the peer tutoring that happens while they're doing this is amazing. So the next activity asks the students to write a paragraph where each sentence is one of the writing tricks from the unit. You can see that there's a sample paragraph below for the students to use as a model. And you can see each writing trick in the sample. There's dialogue, there's vaunting verbs, idioms, Lee-Howe adverbs, and then they can use any writing trick they want from any of the units that you've done already. Next, again, have the students trade their paragraphs, check for accuracy, and get that peer tutoring going, and really it's going to supercharge your instruction. Finally, the students will write a paragraph using all the writing tricks from the unit, and this time they get to choose the order. And again, the students trade those paragraphs, check for accuracy, and get that peer tutoring going. I'll do these same activities throughout the school year, and I'll just mix up the writing tricks. And I'll use writing tricks from units 1 and 3 or 2 and 4. The idea is just to keep the students practicing the tricks until they're internalized. Before long, your students' writing is really going to stand out because of the quality of their grammar and punctuation and the variety of sentence structure that they're using. Considering how inexpensive this book is, you're really getting a lot of bang for your buck. Finally, let me show you the table of contents. Here's the introduction to the first unit, which starts with the where-when writing trick. This trick gets the students to add setting to their writing. This is great for narrative writing, such as, "Early one summer morning, I placed the blanket on the sand and began to relax." There's the where, there's the when. You can see how the students are being introduced to this on the overview worksheet here. We'll use highlighters to annotate the key parts of the trick. There's the where examples, there's the when examples. And when you're teaching the settings writing trick, be sure to have your students use this in other subjects, such as history. For example, they can put, "On the banks of the Nile River in the 25th century BC, the Egyptian pyramids began to rise in the desert sand." There's the where, there's the when. It's such a great way to bring boring reports to life. And when we're writing reports, I'll actually point back to the setting writing trick and get them to throw that in their writing. And again, the advanced students are super motivated because they know it's going to take their reports to the next level. From there, you can see on the overview of the unit is personification, simile and metaphor, and there's adjectives. Again, reviewing and annotating is a great way to introduce these tricks. Then on the next worksheet, the students get to practice identifying the tricks within sentences before they start practicing the sentences on their own. So you can see all the tricks are represented there on that worksheet. The students read the sentences, then write the names of the tricks on the lines to the right. There's also a test after each unit to help the teacher check for understanding. First, the students will identify the writing tricks by writing the names of the tricks on the lines. Remember, if the students can identify each trick, you can point out these tricks while you're reading any text throughout the day. And the students will instantly recognize them and have that trick reinforced in their minds. Eventually, the students will get so good at identifying the tricks that they'll start pointing out writing tricks to the class. They'll raise their hand and say, look, there's an adjective writing trick. Oh, there's dialogue. There's introductory clause. It's really impressive. These tricks really get burned into their minds. Then the next part of the test, the students are going to demonstrate their ability to write each trick. So you'll give them a paragraph. The students will write the trick in the paragraph. And sometimes I don't even grade the paragraphs. I just scan them to see how well they're doing. If the students think it's a test, they're more likely to take it seriously so I could get a really good idea. They do take a while to correct. So sometimes I just scan them, give them full credit, and move on. So here's one last look at the table of contents. You can pause the video for a longer look if you need it. But you can see there's multiple worksheets for each writing trick. There are end of the unit projects to help get them putting the tricks within the context of real writing. There are unit tests so you can assess to see how well they're doing. There are 16 writing tricks covered in this book. And it's really suitable for grades 3 and up because the students at grade 3 are going to do it at the grade 3 level. So it really scales up and grows with them as they get older. So just some final thoughts about Writing Tricks Plus. You can download some more worksheet samples from the product page on the website. You can get it as a digital download, which is an ebook, or you can get it as a soft cover. And you can also get student consumables for Writing Tricks Plus, which will save you a ton of time making copies, and it'll save the wear and tear in your copy machine. Finally, if you'd like to see how Writing Tricks Plus fits in with a complete writing program, I highly recommend you check out the video from the paragraph to the essay to the research report, and it'll show you how it fits into an entire writing program. It's really powerful. If you're watching this on YouTube or Rumble, the links for Writing Tricks Plus and the other books are in the description. If this video helped you out, please hit like and subscribe. And if you know any other teachers who could benefit from Writing Tricks Plus or a powerful writing program, please share this video. And thanks for watching, and go create better writers.
CreateBetterWriters.com